You don't deserve this house, Emma, Michael sneered, tossing the property papers onto our kitchen counter. I've transferred it to Lisa. She'll make better use of it than you ever did. I stared at my husband of 12 years, my hands gripping the edge of the marble counter we picked out together. The same counter where we'd shared countless morning coffees, where we'd planned our future. Now it felt like ice under my fingers. You did what? My voice was surprisingly steady despite the earthquake happening in my chest. Michael's smirk widened as he lounged against the doorframe, his expensive new watch glinting in the afternoon light. You heard me. I transferred our house to my sister for $1. Completely legal. Lisa's always loved this place, and unlike you, she knows how to maintain a proper home. I glanced at the security panel near the kitchen door, its tiny red light blinking steadily. Michael had no idea that 3 months ago, I'd installed a comprehensive security system throughout our home. Not just cameras, but audio recording too. A decision that seemed paranoid then, but proved prophetic now. When did you do this? I asked, buying time as I remembered the footage I'd reviewed just this morning. The late-night meeting between Michael and Lisa 2 nights ago, their whispered conversation in our living room when they thought I was asleep. Does it matter? He waved his hand dismissively. The papers are signed. You have 30 days to move out. Lisa's already planning her renovations. I thought about the hidden camera footage stored safely in my cloud account. The video showing Michael and Lisa huddled over these same papers, his slurred voice revealing their real plan. Lisa, once Emma's gone, we'll sell this place and split the profits. That'll show her what happens when she questions my spending. You really think you can just throw me out of my own home? I kept my voice level, remembering the legal consultation I had last week. Another paranoid decision that now seemed like divine intervention. Michael's face darkened. Your home? I pay for this house. My money, my decision. You're just the decoration I'm tired of looking at. I almost laughed at the irony. He had no idea about the trust fund my grandmother had left me, the one that had actually provided the down payment for this house. I let him believe he paid for everything because that's what he needed to feel powerful. Another mistake I was done making. Fine, I said, gathering my purse. I'll start packing. Michael blinked, clearly thrown by my calm acceptance. That's it? No crying? No begging. Would it change anything if I did? He shifted uncomfortably, probably remembering all the times my tears had made him feel guilty enough to back down. No, it wouldn't. Lisa deserves this place more than you ever did. She's family. I headed for the door, pausing only to check my phone. The security app showed the system was still recording, capturing every word of this conversation. You're right about one thing, Michael. Family deserves this house. He followed me to the door, probably expecting me to break down at any moment. Where are you going? To see my lawyer, I replied honestly. Someone should review those transfer papers, don't you think? His laugh followed me out the door. Waste of time. Everything's legal. I got into my car, my hands steady as I started the engine. Through the rearview mirror, I watched Michael pull out his phone, probably to call Lisa and gloat about how easily I'd given up. He had no idea what was coming. The footage from 2 nights ago played in my mind. Michael, drunk on expensive scotch, revealing to Lisa how he'd been embezzling from his company to fund his gambling habit. Lisa, eager to help him hide his tracks by using this house sale as a cover, both of them, caught on camera, planning to defraud not just me but Michael's company too. I pulled out my phone and dialed my lawyer's number. Sarah, it's Emma. Remember that footage I showed you last week? I think it's time to use it. Yes, he did exactly what we expected. No, he has no idea about the cameras. As I drove toward the lawyer's office, I thought about the home Michael was so eager to take from me, the house my grandmother's money had bought, the home I poured my heart into for 12 years. Michael thought he was punishing me, but he'd just given me exactly what I needed, proof of his crimes. The paperwork is ready, Sarah said through the car's speakers. Once we show the evidence to the DA, your husband's going to have a lot more to worry about than property transfer. I ended the call, a small smile playing on my lips. Michael always said I was too quiet, too passive. He was about to learn that quiet doesn't mean weak, and some people are smart enough to gather evidence before making their move. The security camera footage would show more than just his fraudulent property transfer. It would reveal months of late-night conversations about embezzled money, plans to hide assets, and now clear evidence of attempted fraud. Michael and Lisa thought they were so clever, but they never once looked up at the tiny cameras capturing their every word. I parked outside Sarah's office building, taking a moment to check my phone. 3 missed calls from Michael already. He was probably starting to wonder why I'd left so calmly. Soon enough, he'd understand that sometimes the quiet ones are the most dangerous. This house battle was about to become much more than Michael bargained for, and I had everything I needed to make sure justice was served. He wanted to talk about family. He was about to learn what happens when you betrayed the wrong person. The next morning, I sat in Sarah's office, watching Michael's face turn ashen as he viewed the security footage on her laptop. His sister Lisa sat beside him, her usual smug expression crumbling with each passing minute of the video. "Turn it off," Michael snapped, but Sarah let it play. "I particularly like the part coming up," she said calmly, "where you explain exactly how you've been moving company funds through fake accounts." The DA found that very interesting. The color drained from Michael's face. "You recorded us? That's illegal." "Actually," I spoke up, sliding a document across the table. "Here's the security system contract signed by you 6 months ago. See that clause you initialed? Full audio and video recording throughout the property." Lisa jumped to her feet, her designer purse clutched to her chest like a shield. "This is ridiculous. The house transfer is legal." "Is it?" Sarah raised an eyebrow, pulling out another file. "Let's talk about legal. Like how you both plan to flip the property and split the profits to hide embezzled money. Or how you forged Emma's signature on the preliminary documents." "I never." Michael started, but Sarah held up her hand. "The footage shows you practicing her signature, Michael. 3 different cameras caught that little practice session. Would you like to see those angles too?" I watched them squirm, remembering all the times they'd made me feel small, insignificant, unworthy. Michael's constant criticism, Lisa's snide remarks about how lucky I was that her brother had settled for me. "What do you want?" Michael finally asked, his voice hoarse. "The truth," I replied simply. "Tell me why. Why try to take my home?" "Your home." Lisa scoffed, but there was fear behind her bravado. "Michael paid for it." I pulled out one final document, my grandmother's trust fund statement. "Actually, my inheritance provided the down payment and half the mortgage payments, another fact you both seemed to forget." Michael stared at the statement, his jaw clenching. "That's impossible. You never had money of your own." "No, I let you believe that because your ego needed it. Another mistake I won't repeat." Sarah cleared her throat. "Here's what's going to happen. You're both going to sign these papers voiding the fraudulent property transfer. Then, Michael, you're going to come clean to your company about the embezzlement." "And if we refuse?" Lisa challenged. In response, Sarah pressed play on another video clip, this one showing Michael explaining in detail how he'd been stealing from his company for years, using Lisa's accounting firm to cover his tracks. "The DA has copies of everything," I said quietly. "Your choice if you want them to use it." Michael slumped in his chair, the fight draining from him. "You planned this? All of it?" "No," I corrected him. "You planned this. I just made sure there was evidence." The next hour was a blur of signatures and legal terms. By the time we finished, the fraudulent transfer was voided, and Michael had signed a confession for his company's legal team. Lisa stormed out, already on the phone with her own lawyer. As Michael stood to leave, he turned to me. "I underestimated you." "Yes," I agreed, "you did." Once they were gone, Sarah turned to me. "You okay?" I looked down at my hands, surprised to find them steady. "You know what's strange?" "I am. For the first time in years, I really am. The company's legal team will be in touch about the embezzlement," she said. "Michael's looking at serious consequences." I nodded, gathering my things. "I know. But that's his problem now." Walking out of Sarah's office, I felt lighter somehow. The home Michael had tried to steal was still mine. But more importantly, I finally found my voice. No more quiet acceptance, no more looking the other way. My phone buzzed with a text from Lisa. "You've ruined everything. I hope you're happy." I smiled, typing back. "Actually, I am. Enjoy your legal bills." The house keys felt different in my hand as I drove home. Not just pieces of metal, but symbols of something bigger. I protected what was mine, not through dramatics or manipulation, but through careful planning and quiet strength. Michael and Lisa had never bothered to look up to notice the cameras capturing their schemes. They'd been so convinced of their own cleverness, so certain of my weakness, that they'd never considered I might be smarter than they thought. As I pulled into my driveway, I thought about the changes ahead. Michael would face consequences for his embezzlement. Lisa's accounting firm would come under scrutiny, and I would finally live in my home on my own terms. The security cameras blinked their quiet red lights as I entered, faithful witnesses to the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. Sometimes the best revenge isn't loud or dramatic. It's simply letting people face the consequences of their own actions. 6 months after that day in Sarah's office, I stood in my newly renovated kitchen, sipping coffee. The morning sun streamed through the windows, filling the space with warmth. The house no longer reminded me of Michael. Every trace of him was gone, replaced with colors and textures that made me feel safe and at peace. The news had been big at first: local executive caught in fraud, and siblings involved in property scam. Michael admitted his crimes and took a deal, which meant jail time and paying back what he had stolen. Lisa lost her job too, her firm wanting nothing to do with the scandal. My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah: "Michael's sentencing is next week. Want me to come?" "No," I replied. "That chapter is closed." And it was. The house was legally mine, and I had used my grandmother's trust fund to renovate it, removing every painful memory. The security cameras stayed, those silent protectors that made me feel safe again. The doorbell rang. I checked the security feed on my phone. It was Lisa. She looked different, tired, worn down. I opened the door but didn't invite her in. "What do you want, Lisa?" "I came to apologize," she said, her voice softer than before. "What we did was wrong." I studied her face. "Why now?" "Because I lost everything," she admitted. "My job, my reputation. And it made me realize we didn't just try to take your house. We tried to take your peace." I thought of all the nights I had watched them scheme against me in my own home. "You both thought I was weak." Lisa shook her head. "We were wrong." "I see that now." I nodded, accepting her apology but not offering forgiveness. Some things can't be undone. "Goodbye, Lisa." As I closed the door, I felt lighter. I didn't need their regret. I had something better: self-respect and a home that was truly mine. That evening, I hosted a small dinner party, something I had never done before. Sarah was there, along with new friends from my book club. The house was filled with laughter, the kind that came from happiness, not manipulation. Sarah raised her glass. "To new beginnings, and to security cameras." Everyone laughed. They didn't know the full story, and they didn't need to. Success isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet strength, knowing when to be patient and when to act. After my guests left, I walked through my home, touching the walls that now held new memories. The security cameras blinked, not just as protection, but as reminders. I had been smart, I had been strong, and I had won. Michael's sentencing would happen without me. Lisa's apology wouldn't change the past. But I had something better than revenge. I had peace. I pulled out a photo of my grandmother and whispered, "You were right. Sometimes the quiet ones are the strongest." The house creaked softly, but it wasn't lonely anymore. It was comforting. This was my home, built on courage and protected by wisdom. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Sarah: "Are you sure you don't want to go to the sentencing?" I looked around at the life I had rebuilt and typed back, "No need. I'm exactly where I want to be." And I was. Happy endings don't always look like we expect. Sometimes they look like quiet triumph, a home that feels safe, and a woman who learned to stand her ground.